Welcome everyone to the 24th exhibition of Stupid People. Today I have 5 separate things I would like to address. And we're going to start with Shamima Begum, because why not? It's not really a railing on her and a recent appeal, because nothing's happened with regards to that. It's more the repeated attempts to appear to be a victim, and trying desperately to appeal to the British people to give her another chance. This time she's decided to take it a step further, because she's claimed that her life has fallen apart since she was stripped of her UK citizenship. Okay, well let's have a little look at the living conditions from the outside. This is her tent. It is quite something. She in fact shares it with her Canadian roommate, Kimberly Pullman. Hi Kim, hope you're enjoying Camp Sunshine. This is the interior of it. One could argue that is a better living condition than the majority of council homes you would want to be put up in the United Kingdom. And you've even been flashing some of the British paraphernalia, including a Union Jack cushion, along with the diamante nose stud and the rather beautiful looking hijab you're wearing. It's not the black one I remember. It looks to me like someone might be flexing. Now she's complained because she thinks everything's gone downhill. I would argue you're living it better than most would. In fact, I could think of only one place where you would live better in the United Kingdom than a council house or that tent. It's called a prison. But thankfully, you're not British, so you're not our problem, which means you don't get the right or the privilege or the luxury of existing within one of our prisons, where you would also have a roommate, and you would more than likely be her bottom bish. Cause Shamima took the opportunity while she was being interviewed to beg for her case to be re-evaluated, which I totally disagree with. As far as I'm concerned, all you can do now is turn to Bangladesh for citizenship or hope that when your husband gets freed and maybe sent back to the Netherlands that you get asylum there. I mean, it's only one ocean between us. If you like, you can try swimming. Best of luck with that. Next, I would like to talk about UK politics. No, I'm not doing an actual political video from the Moisty Live channel, although there is a new one there linked below. No, I want to talk about David Lammy. He is a Labour Member of Parliament who tried to run for leader and failed pretty easily. He is arguably one of the most memorable and amusing of the Labour Members of Parliament. His more recent one is certainly chuckle-worthy when you consider what he actually did when he himself was in government, which is why I've put him here. David Lammy has been railing on the recent extradition of a bunch of Jamaican criminals. His equating it to racism and of course the Windrush scandal is quite tragic. He would rather those people stay here because they know no better life or they didn't know a life in Jamaica and blah blah blah. The Conservatives view it as, it's not so much strikes and you're out, but you did commit some crimes, see you later. There are some mistakes that have taken place, and certainly some cases shouldn't be kicked out because of the circumstances they're being kicked out by. But Lammy's position has been flawed from the start, especially when you go back in history, because he was a member of the Tony Blair administration. And I'm going to finish that in a moment. I'm actually going to read a quote of his first. People watching will see the way the government holds in such disrespect the contribution of West Indian, Caribbean and black people in this country. When will Black Lives Matter once again? Right. He needs a mirror, by the way, for this. Because if he really wants to blame someone, he needs to look at himself. For 2 years under Tony Blair, in June 2007, David Lammy was promoted to Minister for Universities, and he served under Gordon Brown as well. 3 months later, the government passed the UK Borders Act, which he voted for. In fact, his vote helped pass the legislation that in fact enabled last week's deportations to take place. Meaning, he is blaming people but the real problem and the person if he wants to lay the blame at the feet of should be his own. I don't know if he can afford a butler anymore, but I know when he was in office he certainly did get a rather nice government salary and a chauffeur-driven car. Maybe if he was lucky when he got moved to the back benches he got someone to still spit polish his shoes. You're a hypocrite, David Lammy, and this proves it. Please stop. It's starting to embarrass me. Next. Earlier this month, it was announced that UK will be having its very first Muslim Pride Festival, which was after LGBTQI charity managed to successfully raise £10,000 in a crowdfunding campaign, with them insisting that Islamophobia won't stop them. Right. I'm assuming I'm not the only person here who sees the problem, and it's not Islamophobia. In fact, if anything, it's intolerance. When it comes to Pride events for the most part in the United Kingdom, there are very few isolated incidents that do happen, but the numbers are dwindling as we are becoming a more tolerant society. Granted, there is more work to be done, but it is happening. Some want it to happen as quick as I change a scene, but it's not always going to happen like that. So, with this particular case, I don't think the charity Iman, I-M-A-A-N, fully appreciate that this particular event that's going to take place on April the 11th, with tickets, by the way, going on sale within the next week, is going to be so much an Islamophobic-related backlash. Because I don't think the people involved fully appreciate there are still many within a certain community that do not, will not, and shall not tolerate the dreaded gays. They are, after all, according to an archbishop merely a decade ago, the reason we have flooding in the United Kingdom. That isn't even a joke. The group announced this event, courtesy of their Twitter page. The charity has, however, also indicated that since announcing this, they have already been hit with many negative tweets from what they believe to be the online trolls, with them believing that that alone is why they're going to go ahead, along with having raised the money, and the fact that they're proud of their sexuality and their faith, forgetting here how intolerant a large number within their faith, much like a number of other faiths, are towards those who are one of those dreaded gays. People can praise this event, and I'm sure Sadiq Khan will certainly champion it, as we try and push for a more tolerant society. And let's not forget here, according to Sadiq Khan, this country's strongest feature, greatest strength if you will, is its diversity, and not its financial sector that props up the entire country's economy. Seriously. And I should say, because one should always consider being accepting, I don't particularly care about pride events. I really don't. Your sexuality means nothing to me as long as you're treated equally. The fact they exist is either a statement of capitalism, because they do become quite, souvenir-worthy eventually, or because they are still required. When there are isolated incidents within Pride events, last year especially, that's not an indicator that Pride still needs to exist. It's just an indicator that there is still some intolerance in this country, and hopefully through persistent education, these people will learn, adapt, and improve. Hopefully the same will happen through this, but you never know. Next. As I'm sure many of you are aware, in the United States there are many arguments that take place when it comes to pro-life and pro-choice. I will not be drawn in on this argument, but in certain states, legislation has been put forward and attempted to be verified, legislated, validated, ratified, whichever you want to call it, that utterly restricts a woman's right to abort under a vast number of mitigating circumstances, which many have said means that the government is trying to control what a woman can do, eroding at women's rights, and of course, stopping them from not bringing a life into the world that they don't want. Alabama is one of these states because of the abortion ban, which has forced the hand of somebody called Rolanda Hollis to put forward a bill, a response and obvious reaction. In fact, I'm surprised no one's done this sooner, to try and dictate now what men can do with hers, because of the abortion ban being, while branded an outrageous overstep, an understandable response considering the position you're putting people in. So, what is Rolanda Hollis's proposal? It is to force men at the age of 50 to have a vasectomy, or when they have their third child, have that enforced sterilization placed upon them, which they themselves must pay for. Now, last year, the Republican State Senate passed a near-total ban on abortion, and it should be noted that since October, the law has been temporarily blocked by a federal judge, which is a good thing, to be honest. This is a very dark subject, and it's very tricky at the best of times. So one has to come at this with a clear head. By the way, if anyone hasn't noticed the sarcasm already, don't worry. I flashed sarcasm signs on screen. If you didn't see them, it's okay. I thought I'd tell you now. According to a number of sources, no one has ever tried to pass a bill that would lead to legislating the sterilization of a man or a woman. So this is a real game changer. I mean, she's pioneered, she's the trailblazer with this. In all seriousness, though, this bill is going to go nowhere. This has been recognised by the executive director of the American Civil Liberties Union and by most people because of who is in control in Alabama. But it does underscore, as stated by others, this level of hypocrisy when it comes to the state's legislature in making medical decisions for women that they would never dream of making for men. I would also counter that particular quote from Randall Marshall, the executive director of the American Civil Liberties Union, by saying, different biologies, this is really tricky and murky, perhaps don't equate the two. Next. So the final piece of stupid I would like to address today comes courtesy of a picture I found on Twitter, but I have yet to verify it, so let's just point and laugh but not take it too seriously just yet. And yes, the guy at the back with the beard is wearing Steve Shizer's hat. Maybe he's also follically challenged. But he's not the subject I want to address. It's the sign held by, I believe, the lady, I can't be too sure, a tad androgynous. Skirt dress doesn't mean whammon. With the sign reading, "Hey white people, let's make a deal." I like deal. You want to say the N-word so much? Naga? Nincompoop? Give money to black people. Oh, that word. I didn't realise that word was a subscription service. And I've got to love the guy stood next to you. Yes. Might I recommend buying a pair of shorts that are a waist size bigger so that your muffin top is not as obvious? And as far as being given permission to say the N-word for money, I don't think you two white people fully understand. One cannot simply pay for permission to say a word. So as with all things, I would very much like to know, what do you think was the stupidest? Was it Shamima Begum? Was it David Lammy? Was it the Muslim Pride event? Was it the Alabama law, which made me lol actually quite a lot? Or this sign? Please do let me know in the comments down below. As a final thing, there is a Euro Truck Simulator stream tonight. I'm also playing D&D on a channel I will link down below. So I hope you'll have a fantastic Thursday, and thank you all for listening.